Shalom, Cosmic Family. The Cosmic Professor is here today to talk about the first house, okay? So welcome to my series because we're going to be going through all of the houses and breaking it down in detail to provide a greater understanding to you all, okay? So let's just get started because you know why we're here, right? So what is the first house all about? Well, read the slogan on my shirt. Often imitated but never duplicated, right? And so the first house talks about dominant traits that we have, right? And they're usually unique to us because the first house deals with action. So it rules our mannerisms, right? So when you just meet a person or when you get around a person and they're not even thinking, you notice these little things that they do, right? So the first house can also talk about physical appearance because you're like, wow, this person, the way that they wear their hair, it's very eccentric, it's very different, right? Or you may notice how someone dresses. Wow, you dress so professional, so elegant, you dress with poise, right? So those are things that we notice, and the people usually doing them, they may not really notice because it's so impulsive, it's so natural to them, right? And so it rules our, again, natural mannerisms, and it rules our strong and dominant traits, okay? It rules self and identity. Okay, so what are some other things that the first house rules? Let me check my board. Okay, so it rules how we lead, how we take a lead in our life, right? Because the first house is the door to our chart, right? So as someone goes through the first house, they're getting to know more and more about our character and being all the way to the 12th house, which is the most private part of our chart, basically, right? Because it's our own personal inner reality. Nonetheless, since the first house is the door of our chart, it's the energy that's the most strongest or prevalent, right? So any placements, planetary placements that you may have here, it's basically, it takes lead in your life, right? It follows throughout the rest of your chart. So it's where we take lead. If you have Mars in your first house, you're someone that may be fearless. You have a lot of drive. You're very self-motivated throughout all the different areas of your life, right? Going through that chart because it's very strong. So it shows where we take lead and, again, our strong and dominant traits, right? So what else do we have? It also talks about what drives us, but that kind of connects with my last point about like how we're taking lead. But to just elaborate a little bit more, what drives us, it also, like, let's say Mercury is in your first house. You're someone that loves to learn. You're very curious. It drives you, right? So it's just like going throughout your life, that'll be something that's always prevalent, right? Or even if you have Mercury, depending on the sign, depending on the aspect, it can show that you're someone, you just might be very apprehensive, very nervous, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool and great to know because it can show you where you may need to where you may lack awareness, right? Because again, since it's so instinctual, so since it's so impulsive, right, we may not even know that we're doing it. So that's very helpful to look into your first house or the first house of another individual to become aware of some mannerisms that you can change, because since the first house deals with self, right, the opposite of that house, it deals with relationships and others. And sometimes we may push others away and not even know because of our basic mannerisms, okay? So that can be very helpful, so that way you can learn to work with whatever placement that you may have and how it may be affecting you in order for you to not unintentionally push people away all the time, okay? Those who are not meant to be in your life, don't worry about them, but those that genuinely want to be there. You don't want to push those people away because you're not aware of something that you might be doing that can be quite intimidating. Okay, so yeah, it also rules what's most natural to us, right? Since all of these traits are strong and dominant, they're natural to us. So if you look into someone's first house, you can see what natural gifts they may have, right? Someone with moon in their first house per se, they may be someone who they wear their emotions on their sleeve, so they have an easy time expressing their emotions. People can receive a lot of healing from them because they have a lot of hospitality, depending on their moon sign now. Okay, but it shows what gifts are like really natural to us. You'll see someone maybe with the moon in the first house, and you'll say, well, why are you so sensitive, or why are you so caring, right? Because this person, that energy is so natural to them that they can't try not to do it. It would be very hard to try not to show and express this energy. So it shows our natural gifts and strengths, and that is a part of our identity. Okay, so yes, it's all of the points tie in together, right? But it shows how the first house rules everything that is integrated as self, right? What people notice off of you, and what you might not even notice off of yourself, because again, the traits are just so dominant. It's like it's part of your ego. It's almost like how we are a part of nature and we are God beings, but it's like we always put that power somewhere else because we do it so well we don't recognize it, or we are it so well that we don't recognize it, if you get what I'm saying. So yes, hopefully you guys can take something from this and become aware of what your strong traits may be, because you don't always have to water them down for others. Maybe you might need to embrace your traits more, your strong traits, right? With Mercury in your first house, maybe when you get around others, you are very chatty like, or you don't fear speaking to others, but people may judge and criticize you for that. Don't worry about that. You should embrace this trait about you, that you're a social person, that you are able to fearlessly open up conversation with others, right? Because people with strong first house placements, they actually make great leaders, because the first house is all about leadership. So you often find yourself in leadership positions depending on what placements you may have there in your life, right? So that's beautiful. That's golden, man. Like, I actually sometimes envy people with strong first house placements, in a really good way. Like, I just admire them. I shouldn't even use that word envy, but I admire them because I feel like their soul just expresses certain characteristics strongly, that they wear it on their sleeve. It's just easy for them. It's natural, right? So I know a lot of us can learn from that and can take from that kind of confidence, or that kind of boldness, right? Because Aries is bold. It's action based and action oriented, right? It's fearless. It doesn't care what others say, right? And I guess that's why it's at the front door before it gets into the rest of our chart. You must first see and embrace the exterior, right? The outside of the house, or the initial feel, before you can even get into someone's personal life, right? So it's important that people get a feel for your first house energy, for your exterior energy, right? Before they continue to warm up to you, or before you warm up to others, right? So without complicating it anymore, I feel like I gave a pretty decent description, detailed description of what the first house rules, okay? It's not complicated, but you can take my understanding and you can expound on it in your own way, okay? So that is what I have today. It's the first house ruled by Aries, and next time we'll be doing the second house ruled by Taurus. Peace.